Hello, my friends. Have you ever wondered what it might be like to explore a 200-year-old mill? Well, today's your lucky day because we're here at my newest listing in Abingdon, Virginia. And yes, it's a mill. It's called Parks Mill, and it was built around 1780 and sits on nearly 8 acres. Today, it operates as an events venue, so we're going to explore the whole property, show you around everything there is to see, and yeah, we're going to go inside the mill too. Join me.
I'm Daniel Shue, the Old House Agent. I'm a real estate agent and I specialize in old and historic homes in Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee. I've dedicated my career to preserving these places while helping others discover the joy of owning a piece of our region's past. On this channel, you'll find restoration journeys, history, and honest insight into what it truly takes to bring old houses back to life. Parks Mill stands as one of Washington County's oldest surviving industrial landmarks, a rare example of early Appalachian craftsmanship and community life. Established in the late 1700s, the mill served generations of farmers who relied on its grinding stones to turn their corn and wheat into the meal that fed mountain families. Built using traditional post and beam construction, its massive timbers were hewn from local oak and chestnut, joined with wooden pegs and raised by hands of neighbors who understood the value of a dependable mill. During the Civil War, the mill suffered damage, as many mills in Southwest Virginia did, given their importance to both armies, but its sturdy timber frame remained standing, allowing it to be repaired and placed back into service in 1865. For decades afterward, the mill continued to grind grain along the banks of the 15-mile creek, its wheel and gears filling the valley with the rhythmic sound that defined rural life. Though milling operations eventually ceased in 1942, the building endured. Today, Parks Mill is one of the few surviving mills of its age in Southwest Virginia. Its repurposing as an events venue has given new life to the structure that has stood for more than 2 centuries.
So here we are right in the middle of everything. Behind me, you can see the bathhouse over there with a laundry room and a men's bathroom and a women's bathroom. And then to this area is the lodge, which is a large open concept room with beautiful paneling. We'll go in there in a few minutes, and a wraparound porch, so it could be a dance hall or anything like that. Right now it's run as an events venue, as I mentioned earlier, so lots of weddings are here. And speaking of weddings, this building over here serves as both a bridal lounge and also a kitchen area. It's a large kitchen room, and this could potentially be turned into a vacation rental or living quarters. And then, of course, the mill is here behind me. And it's an amazing property. I cannot wait to show you the creek. It's 15 Mile Creek is what it's called. And you have some water rights, of course, since this is a mill. So you can run water through a system right here that comes out and can turn the wheel. Now, the property will need a little bit of work in order to get the mill wheel operational again. I love the exterior of the mill. It has probably a lot of original siding, and the siding is actually put on with square nails. It's really quite beautiful. There's a dam down here I'll show to you in just a few minutes also. But let's get this tour started with the pièce de résistance, the mill. I love this spectacular porch on this place. The chairs, the flooring, everything calls you to sit a spell and to ignore how quickly our modern time passes. At the entrance to the mill is one of the most evocative surviving features of the original 18th century construction, the Dutch door. A split, half-height door once used for daily transactions between the miller and his customers. It was a practical design found in early American mills and trading posts, providing ventilation, visibility, and a safe barrier between the public and the working gears of the mill. Still fastened to that door is local treasure, hand-forged wrought iron strap hinges, crafted by a local blacksmith sometime around 1780, very likely during the mill's original period of construction. The long iron strap shows the unmistakable marks of early Appalachian blacksmithing: hammered texture, punch nail holes, and a distinctive rat tail finial curled by hand on an anvil.
This small decorative flourish was typical of frontier smiths who added beauty to even the most utilitarian hardware. These details are more than architectural curiosities. They are tangible links to the mill's working past, preserved almost exactly as they would have appeared when the first families of Southwest Virginia came here to have their grain ground.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, the mill was supposed to have been built in 1780 or around that year. And then during the Civil War, apparently Union troops decided that it might hurt the community in some way, I guess financially, to try to destroy this mill, as they probably did with many other mills. There's one story that it burned down. There's another story that cannon fire hit it, which I can't find a whole lot of proof of. And then the Parks family seemed to have had it up and running pretty quick, I think around 1865. That tells me they didn't rebuild the mill like a lot of the stories say. So as I came in here and did my own assessment on the property, I found that in fact, at least the first floor seems to be the intact 1780 version.
Many of the old mills that still stand in Southwest Virginia owe their survival to post and beam construction, a method brought into this region by early settlers in the 1700s. These craftsmen cut massive oak and chestnut timbers, joined them together with mortise and tenon joints, and raised the frames by hand, creating buildings strong enough to endure centuries of use. This technique was especially important for mills, which had to support heavy grinding stones, water-driven machinery, and the constant vibration of daily use. A post and beam frame could flex slightly with the moving equipment, yet remain solid and dependable in every season. Mills across Washington, Scott, Russell, and Smith counties, places like Parks Mill and Abingdon, became the backbone of their communities. During the Civil War, many were burned for strategic value, yet the underlying timber frames often survived the fire well enough to allow rebuilding. Today, when you step inside one of these old structures, the hand-hewn beams still carry the marks of the men who shaped them. They stand as some of the strongest reminders of early Appalachian craftsmanship and the essential role mills played in the life of Southwest Virginia.
So over here is some of the workings of the interior of the mill. Now listen, I'm not an expert on mills and I'm not going to pretend to be. So I can't explain to you about how all this works, but it's very fascinating to look at the architecture of it. Now the flooring in this section appears to be overlaid later, but there is old flooring under it, and you can see that up on the second floor. I think the real beauty of this space is stuff like this. Look how many hands have touched this and polished it. The Parks family purchased it, let's see, in the early 1800s, like 1801, I think. And they operated here until around 1942. So it was the same family operating this mill. And so a lot of this equipment was probably changed out at times. So you're looking at, equipment that possibly goes back to the Civil War, maybe before, and you're looking at equipment that may date to the 40s. Probably not. They probably didn't have brand new equipment then. And then up here, look at all these amazing gears and wheels and cogs and belts. And then you can see the flooring here. This flooring is really awesome. And then stepping down into this section, this is a roof of, I believe, of course, an addition, because you can see siding over here. These floorboards, again, are absolutely incredible. The siding is put on with these square nails. And over in this section, past this giant guy, is a later section of the mill, at least I believe to be later. The wood is newer in appearance than the other part. Again, with the possible living space here, I mean, you'd have short ceilings. I don't know what you could do about that, but this is a fascinating structure over here. And then there's a door to nowhere. Don't step off there. But before we go downstairs, check out the very last level, this fourth level of the place. You're up in the roof, the loft area. There's all kinds of equipment up here that hasn't been used in years and years and years. Really neat space. Who wouldn't want to own an old mill? So as we're going down the stairs here, you can see some saw marks on this stud. And what that tells me is when they look like this, that's usually a saw that was after 1850, a circular saw. So again, going along with my theory that the second floor had a lot of reconstruction done after the Civil War, that's kind of proof right there. You get a lot of history with this mill. I love the fact that, you know, the original structure is 200 years old and it has this Civil War history too. That layered effect on history makes it really cool. More interesting equipment, and got like a little lounge area, or possibly a dressing area for the weddings. And then look at this, the whole mill is not unfinished. Look at this cool space. You have some more equipment over there and some really neat beams and posts here. Look at the way these tie into each other, and these old iron pieces. So there's one more place in the mill to explore, and this may be the coolest one. It's the basement. It's under this trap door. So you just raise it up and hook it, and you're down in the lower level. So there's lots to learn in this area about the original construction here. Huge, huge joists down here. There's some original woodwork. There's a mixture of old wood and a little more recent wood. You know, in my mind, I'm talking about recent being 150 years ago. Look at this. Look at this. This is unbelievable. It's a good 8 to 9 inches thick, this beam is, and I don't know, 1.5 feet tall. This thing is massive, massive, massive. And then there's another huge one on top of that one where these joists intersect with them. And then this is actually notched out here. They did not mean for these buildings to go anywhere anytime soon. And here we are 200 years later, and it did not. These guys over here, giant. Now the current owner has done some stabilization of the mill. She did some much needed work to it. So that's going to help you out in whatever your plan is. We've got more cogs and wheels and belts over in this area. I don't know what this guy was used for, but it's pretty cool looking. And then sneaking over here into the darkness, you see some of these inner workings of the mill just inside the wheel. So I guess all this section right here, water would have been in here at some point. And then over in this section, you've got enormous posts and beams. Anybody that likes old buildings, this is where your heart flutters just a little bit, this construction. It's another giant peg right there. Look at all this writing. It's hard to tell what you would find in this building and under the building, metal detecting, all kinds of things just waiting to be found. So in the lower level, you also have a section under this part here, which is a dirt floor, a giant wheel with a belt on it. The thing's wild looking. And then there's some doors there that open up to the outside. And then over here you've got, obviously they've reinforced this area at one time with cinder block. And then there's a spooky dark room over there. It might have some cool stuff in it. But look at this. Look at these steps, how beautiful. They're so worn. Love that so much. Look at this right here. This is what I'm talking about. Someone stepped on this step so much, they wore that spot. So going across this neat little bridge, you are right here where the water would flow in to turn the wheel below it. It's even beautiful when it's not working. All these lovely fall leaves This is a beautiful view of the mill, probably my favorite view. And then this coming down this really nice sort of terraced staircase, you get to the creek below. There's an island right here. There is this enormous mill wheel. I hope y'all can see in the video how incredibly beautiful this property is.
Also on the property is this cottage, a remarkable versatile building now serving as a comfortable lounge and dressing area for events. Despite its modest footprint, it offers an impressive layout, a full kitchen, a full bath, and space that could easily function as a bedroom, especially with the inviting vaulted ceiling that gives the interior an open, airy feel. Its flexibility makes it one of the most valuable assets on the property. With only minor adjustments, the Creekside Cottage could become a cozy short-term rental, an on-site manager's quarters, or even a private retreat for owners who want to stay close to the mill during events. Whether kept as a guest space, upgraded into a small residence, or used for wedding parties and gatherings, it adds tremendous practicality and charm to the overall estate. Parks Mill owes much of its history and beauty to 15 Mile Creek, a steady stream that powered the mill for generations. This property still includes the historic water rights, along with a concrete dam that once helped regulate the flow of the mill race. Today, the dam creates a gentle waterfall, filling the air with the sound of moving water and giving the entire grounds a peaceful, timeless atmosphere. Beside the creek, the current owners have added inviting modern touches, including a fire pit area perfect for evening gatherings and storytelling. Nearby, a grouping of charming pergolas set along stone walkways provide shaded spaces for ceremonies, photos, and casual conversation. Together, the creek, the waterfall, and those thoughtfully designed outdoor features create one of the most memorable settings on the property, blending the old mill's working past with the relaxed scenic experience guests enjoy today. Beside the historic mill stands the Lodge, a charming one-story building that carries the same spirit of craftsmanship. Its exterior siding matches the mill, giving the property a cohesive heritage look, while a wide wraparound porch invites guests to slow down and take in the creek and surrounding landscape. Inside, the lodge features warm wood paneling from the floor to the ceiling, creating an atmosphere that feels part mountain retreat, part country gathering place. The open layout lends itself to nearly any purpose: a living dance hall, a nostalgic country store, a tasting room, cafe, mercantile, or simply a welcoming space for events and celebrations. Whether used commercially or privately, the lodge is a versatile companion to the historic mill, full of potential, full of character, and ready to serve the next chapter of this remarkable property. Complementing the mill and the lodge is the matching bathhouse, designed with the same exterior style and siding that unifies the entire property. This well-planned structure features separate men's and women's restrooms, each spacious and neatly furnished, making it ideal for weddings, events, and large gatherings. A dedicated laundry area adds tremendous convenience for venue operations, whether cleaning linens between events or supporting long-term rental use on the property. Practical, durable, and thoughtfully placed, the bathhouse provides modern comfort without taking away from the historic character of the mill grounds.
Here we have like this area with these pergolas that have mosquito netting on them, and they even have these louvers on top that can be controlled. Lovely stone area here for tables, chairs. And passing this enormous sycamore tree is this. Look at this waterfall, this dam. This is so beautiful. I know the video cannot do this justice.
As we come to the end of our tour, I hope you've enjoyed stepping back in time with me at the historic Parks Mill. Few places in Southwest Virginia still carry this much original character. Post and beam timbers from the 1700s, hand-forged hardware, a working mill's footprint, and buildings that have served generations of families. But what truly sets this property apart is the land itself. These nearly 8 acres stretch gracefully along both 15 Mile Creek and Parks Mill Road, offering a rare combination of waterfront beauty and easy access. You can follow the sound of the waterfall through the trees, wander along the creek banks where the mill once drew its power, or simply enjoy the open lawns and shaded gathering spots that make this estate feel like its own little world. Whether you imagine it as a business, a venue, a homestead, or a preservation project, Parks Mill is one of those places that invites you to dream. It's stood here for more than 2 centuries, and now it's ready for its next chapter.
Thank you so much for watching. If you love old houses as much as I do, then I invite you to follow along on all my platforms. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can follow along on Facebook for daily posts, and for a deep dive into history and real estate, you can subscribe to my newsletter. At theoldhouseagent.com, you're going to find valuable resources, regional history about Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee, plus all my current listings. All these likes, shares, and subscriptions to these videos help keep the stories of these places alive. I'm Daniel Shue, the Old House Agent, and I'll see you on the next video.